Disney threw almost $250 million into trying to reinvent Snow White. And what did they get? Family Guy swooped in and made the whole thing a laughingstock.
Oh, you said we were going to a place Walt Disney built.
No, Peter, I said supported.
It wasn't just the movie. It was the company, the casting, the entire crumbling era of Disney's woke reboots. And the wildest part? Family Guy didn't even need to say Rachel Zegler's name to make it sting. The message hit like a hammer, loud, brutal, and impossible to ignore. This wasn't some throwaway joke. It was a full-on assault. And it landed because people are tired. So tired. Tired of forced reinventions shoved down their throats. Tired of moral lectures disguised as entertainment. And now, like it or not, Rachel Zegler is becoming the poster child for all of it. In one brutal scene, Peter Griffin stumbles through Disneyland looking totally lost. But the real gut punch is happening behind him. A roller coaster labeled Disney Stocks plunges straight down. No sugarcoating it. That's Family Guy screaming that Disney's empire is collapsing. And it's their obsession with woke branding that's dragging it all down.
That girl's hot.
That's a guy.
That other guy's handsome.
That's a girl.
That cat is cute.
That's a dog.
What is everything?
The line, "What is everything?" has blown up into a meme of its own. It captures exactly how so many people feel right now, confused and overwhelmed, trying to make sense of a world that's changing faster than they can keep up. Everything's being renamed, redefined, and rearranged, and audiences are just expected to nod along without question. Family Guy took that real frustration and sharpened it into a deadly punchline. They didn't hold back. They didn't have to. That's the power of a show that's always thrived on being offensive, and they used it like a weapon. But for Disney, this wasn't a slap on the wrist. It was a full-blown alarm bell. And just when you think it couldn't get any worse, here comes another twist. Family Guy wasn't even the first animated show to torch Disney. South Park beat them to the punch. And they didn't just poke fun at Snow White, they ripped the entire machine apart.
No.
I keep having the same dream. Everywhere I look, people are being replaced.
Okay, and who do you think is going to have you replaced?
Them. The puppet masters. The last time I had the dream, I was walking down the school hallway. And he's like, "Hey, Eric, you want to see what my mom packed me for lunch?" And that's when I start to notice that something's wrong. Everyone I cared about has been systematically replaced.
They called out Kathleen Kennedy, Disney's boardroom chaos, and the tired formula of put a chick in it and make her gay casting. Nothing was safe. And Rachel Zegler, she was already caught in the crossfire. Because if Family Guy fired warning shots, South Park dropped a nuke. And we're just getting started. South Park didn't simply roast Disney, they broke down the whole playbook, piece by piece, laughing at every corporate move. In their Joining the Pandaverse special, they introduced a savage version of Kathleen Kennedy, yes, the real Disney exec, and handed her a mystical object called the Panderstone. Her mission? To cram diverse women into every franchise, even when it made zero sense. The episode feels like a fever dream gone wild. Poor Cartman is stuck in a nightmare multiverse where every classic character has been replaced by a miserable, preachy, corporate-approved copy. And even though it's pure satire, the message struck Disney right in the heart. Way too close for comfort.
Is there a problem, people?
We were just discussing ideas of what to do with the new Prince Eric movie.
Put a chick in it, make her gay!
But the roasting didn't stop with animated shows. It hit real life too. George Lucas himself, yes, the legend who created Star Wars, was caught in a viral clip, directly throwing shade at Kathleen Kennedy right to her face. During a panel, George mocked Disney's creative mess after the acquisition, and the crowd exploded with laughter. But it was that awkward kind of laugh that cuts a little too deep.
Some of us think we're really great people, but in the real world we're not. We're terrible people. You run your life in a very selfish way, and you think you're doing good when you're actually not. And at the same time, it's how do democracies turn back into dictatorships? It's happened through history forever and ever.
That's how wild this has gotten. The same studio that once gave the world some of the most legendary stories in movie history is now getting roasted. By animation shows, conservative voices, YouTube essayists, and even their own original creators. And right in the middle of the storm, Rachel Zegler. Because even though Snow White still hasn't recovered from the backlash, Disney's already gearing up for its next billion-dollar gamble, a live-action remake of Tangled. And guess what? Reports say Rachel Zegler is attached to the project. Let's just say, the internet is not taking it lightly. Tangled is rumored to be Disney's most expensive remake ever. Over $500 million once marketing is factored in. But after already bleeding out nearly $200 million on Snow White, the panic inside Disney is real. And it's getting louder by the day. Even hardcore Disney fans are asking, why would they roll the dice like this again? Especially with someone the internet is already holding pitchforks for.
Rachel Zegler is not having her year where her Snow White movie is going to lose $200 million for Disney, but doing so, she also screwed over Tangled in the process. When Rachel Zegler was cast as Snow White, she joined one of Disney's biggest franchises, which was Disney Princess, where they've done $45 billion in merchandise sales just in the last 25 years. With the goal of trying to keep that brand fresh, they've tried to do live-action reboots of the Princess movies, and they have had success so far, with Cinderella making over $500 million on a budget of $90 million, and then Beauty and the Beast making $1.3 billion. But the last two attempts for Disney just haven't worked, where Halle Bailey's Little Mermaid lost $25 million for Disney, and Rachel Zegler's Snow White is way worse and it could lose up to $200 million. Now, because of those two failures, Disney's pausing their other attempts at making live-action reboots, including the live-action Tangled movie. Which Tangled was actually the most expensive animated movie of all time, costing $260 million, and it only made $592 million, which actually means it lost money factoring marketing and ticket splits. Still, Disney saw potential in Tangled having more success as a live-action movie, but now due to the failure of the Rachel Zegler films, they're no longer going to be pursuing that or other projects. So hey, she failed so bad, she did something good getting rid of the reboots, and with that, I'm Charles Sproul. Subscribe to learn something.
The backlash is so fierce that Tangled is already catching heat, before a single frame has even been filmed. And it's not because Rachel Zegler lacks talent. It's because audiences feel like they're being sold a brand, not a story. When Disney throws $500 million behind something, people expect more than just a decent movie. They want something unstoppable, something they can actually cheer for. Right now, that's not the energy building around this project. And speaking of bad vibes, that leads straight to the moment Rachel Zegler accidentally poured gasoline on the fire when she posted a TikTok walking into an empty theater, reminding everyone just how badly Snow White flopped. Normally, Rachel walking into a movie theater wouldn't make headlines. But this wasn't just any movie. It was her movie, her big Snow White moment. And the seats? Practically deserted. She posted a quick Instagram story, flowers in hand, striding into the cinema like it was some grand red carpet premiere. But right behind her, just a few scattered viewers. No buzz, no crowd, no magic. It looked less like a Disney blockbuster and more like an awkward Tuesday afternoon with no one around.
She's literally the only person there. And do you not understand how humiliating this is?
What was meant to be a sweet viral flex turned into a meme disaster within hours. People joked that Rachel brought flowers, not to a premiere, but to a funeral. Some even called it the loneliest premiere in Disney history. And while it's easy to pile on, the moment actually revealed something much deeper. It showed the huge disconnect between the movie and the audience, and between Rachel and the fans. And what's a big reason for that gap? Her casting stirred controversy from the very beginning. In the original fairy tale, Snow White is described as having skin as white as snow. So when Disney chose a Latina actress for the role, the internet immediately exploded. Critics argued that if you're going to remake a classic, at least stay true to the story's core details. Rachel responded by posting a TikTok, pushing back against the hate and standing firm on the importance of modern representation.
Honestly, I'm embarrassed of this because I chose a filter that made me look pink as hell. But you thought you did something. You thought you did something by pointing out that I, like every other person on planet Earth, use filters on my photos. But you know what you really got? Embarrassed. Let me tell you why this is embarrassing. It's because in this photo, I'm still an olive-toned queen. You don't have to give me any more racial identity confusion than I already have. Let me tell you something. Soy una Latina orgullosa y tengo muchos privilegios porque tengo piel clara. But I will never try to bait people by pretending that I look different than I do. Shouldn't even have to explain myself, but go pick on someone else who's actually doing harm by race fishing.
The issue wasn't just the casting, it was how the whole thing got handled. Rachel didn't just defend her role, she started throwing punches at the original film, calling it weird, outdated, and even hinting that the prince was basically a red flag. That's where a lot of fans drew the line. If you're stepping into an iconic role, at least show some love for the story that came before you. But the backlash didn't stop there. It went nuclear and turned political. Rachel Zegler was one of several Hollywood celebrities who publicly voiced support for Palestine during the ongoing Israel-Gaza conflict. She even signed a letter demanding a ceasefire. That alone might not have caused total chaos, but her co-star Gal Gadot, she's famously pro-Israel. And just like that, a fairy tale movie turned into a full-blown political firestorm. The tension exploded when Lebanon officially banned the film, not because of Rachel, but because of Gal Gadot. According to distributors, Gadot has been on Lebanon's boycott list for years, meaning any movie she stars in is automatically blocked from release. And just when it seemed like the backlash couldn't pile up any higher, an old clip of Rachel came roaring back. In it, she says F***K Donald Trump on social media. The clip went viral all over again. Rachel apologized. But the internet has a long memory, and it wasn't about to let it slide.
Night, the 23-year-old actress posted a new message. Hi everyone, I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding, and I am sorry I contributed to the negative discourse.
By this point, Rachel Zegler was trending more for drama than for her acting chops. It didn't matter how stunning the visuals looked or how many times Disney tried to spin a new narrative, the damage was already locked in. And then came the knockout punch, the box office numbers. Snow White had a massive budget of around $270 million, but it barely clawed its way to $184 million worldwide. Even Disney insiders had to admit it was a major flop. Behind the scenes, things got even messier. Producer Mark Platt's son, Jonah Platt, didn't mince words. He flat out said what a lot of executives were whispering. Rachel's public comments only made things worse. Her interviews, her TikToks, her entire public image, that's what crushed the vibe. That's what helped sink the whole ship. Now, the real question isn't whether Snow White failed. That chapter's already written.
Saying that audiences will always line up to see her no matter what she does.
Every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
You know what's interesting about all this is that the only person waiting in line to see Snow White was Rachel Zegler.
The real question now is, what is Disney going to do next? Animated shows are roasting them, fans are walking away, and their most expensive remake yet hasn't even started rolling cameras. Even Disney's most loyal defenders are starting to glance the other way. But the roasting? Oh, it's still coming, and it's getting darker. One of the harshest shots might have actually flown under the radar, straight from Family Guy again. In the infamous Quagmire's Dad episode, the show introduced a trans character named Ida. While maybe the intent was to be progressive, the execution was brutal. The most infamous moment? Brian the dog vomits repeatedly after realizing he slept with Ida, and the internet exploded with outrage. Yet, Family Guy didn't back down. They never claimed to be fair, just fearless. And if they're already going that hard on Disney's casting, identity politics, and crumbling box office empire, there's no reason to believe they're stopping anytime soon. Which brings us to the one cartoon empire that stayed suspiciously quiet, but maybe not for long. The Simpsons. For over 30 years, The Simpsons have roasted politics, media, and pop culture without blinking. And lately, they've been creeping closer and closer to Disney's doorstep. Remember, Disney owns them now. But that didn't stop The Simpsons from slipping in savage jabs at Marvel fatigue, Star Wars burnout, and Disney's endless reboot machine. It's only a matter of time before Snow White ends up in their sights, and when it happens, it's going to hurt. Here's why. The Simpsons still hold real cultural weight. If they drop an episode tearing apart the Tangled remake, mocking Rachel Zegler, or dragging Disney's obsession with rewriting their own history, it won't just be edgy, it'll feel brutally honest. The second The Simpsons joins the dog pile, it'll mean something far worse, that Disney has officially lost the room. When even your own properties are turning against you, it's not about online haters anymore, it's about legitimacy. Because this was never just about Rachel Zegler, it was never just about one messy movie, or critics nitpicking online. This has always been about trust. Disney used to stand for timeless storytelling, characters people could believe in, worlds people could escape into. Now, they're selling recycled reboots wrapped in lectures, and even their most hardcore fans are starting to check out. The real question isn't whether another roast is coming, it's who's going to fire the next shot. Family Guy already did. South Park nuked the place. And The Simpsons? They're circling like sharks. If Disney doesn't change course fast, the next roast won't just sting, it'll be the final word.